Hey there. So in this video, we're going to go over file folder structure. And the reason for this is that oftentimes these file folders that you create for your projects on your Google Workspace or Microsoft Drive are done alphabetically. And then within those folders are folders upon folders. And over the years, I've developed a structure that actually allows you to see more information at a glance. You just have to make it a routine and part of your habit so that, and then carry on through so that it works for you the way it's supposed to. Basically, there are only two levels of documents, or naming conventions, I should say. You have the first level documents, which is administrative and controls, project financials, field documentation, and then closeout and warranty, so the end of the project stuff. And then the second level is basically CSI codes. And the reason for using CSI codes is that they basically file themselves, right? So within these folders, you have a bunch of Division 3 stuff. You know that your concrete contractor has been submitting applications for payment at a glance, right? Same thing when it comes to proposals. Oftentimes you get so many different versions of the proposals that come in from contractors, and you're just going into folder trying to figure out what's going on, how many bids do you have of each in each category, and it just boils down to basically having a proper naming convention. So I haven't illustrated it here, but in the bottom right hand corner you'll see that I have a couple of examples that shows the project number, which is a process that is specific to the company of how you want to label your projects. For this particular client, we have adopted this list for the type list, which consists of the year, the job tread, project type, and then the number of the job, which is automatically assigned by job tread. So we have the client's name, what we're submitting, the proposal, and 0.0 to indicate that it's a base document, right? It's the first of its kind. If for some reason you want to distinguish what type, maybe you're doing first floor proposal versus roofing proposal, you can go ahead and put down a title that distinguishes between the two, in which case actually this would be first of its kind, so that would be a 0.0. But any revisions, you could make them a 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. That's it. Stick to it. Be strict about it. You'll thank me later. What's also great about having the project number is that at a glance, you know that this is one of your projects that you did back in 2025. It is a mixed use project, and this is the first proposal of that kind. So with that being said, if you're doing submittals, the same thing, right? You can see right here, this is just concrete. You don't really need to have the word concrete here. Oftentimes this will be something else like forming, or if it's doors, frames, and hardware, this will say hardware, and then product data, and then 0.0. RFI is the number of the title, depending on how it's done in your system. If you're using a software and you upload that stuff, it's always good to at least attach the job number and the RFI number to any of the documents that you're uploading to the software so that they're easy to find later, especially if you're not adopting this naming convention on your drive and the software in both places, because that is a duplication of efforts. So what I would suggest is having a kind of dump folder for each of your projects on your server so that you have some type of backup in case you need to access something, photos, video, correspondence that was uploaded to your software like JobTread or Builder-Trend, but you don't have access to it because the system's down or you're on a network or something. At least you have a backup folder, and that doesn't need to be necessarily organized the exact same way, but it's always good to at least put the job number and something that clarifies it, right? If it's a submittal, or like I said, at the very least, just a job number. Since you're able to sort things by file type, if it's a photo, we'll go ahead and assume that they're project photos, things of that sort. And then as far as getting your proposals in from your subcontractors, basically you'll notice that if you're getting, say for example, 5 bids from various different electricians, they're all going to be filed under that 26 division in your file folder. So you don't need to have a separate folder for Acme. You don't need to have a separate folder for D&D Electric or LOTO Electric for lockout tagout. All those cool, clever names. basically you'll be able to see that you have 5 proposals because there'll be 5 different files with 5 different contractor names. Once they do get established, as far as accounting purposes and all that stuff, you can get a little bit more detailed, especially if there's a lot of correspondence coming, or it's a huge project or a lengthy project and there's a lot of correspondence coming from a particular contractor. By all means, create that third level so that it's organized. But for the most part, you really don't need it. It's a great way to kind of see what comes in. If they submit a revised proposal, again, this just becomes point one. So that in a nutshell is kind of how things are set up. Nothing is really 100% set in stone, simply because as your company is growing, you are going to have to make modifications. So just always make sure that if you have a template saved somewhere, that gets updated and that you reincorporate your new procedures into a revised SOP document. So what I've done here for this particular one, I've included a text file. I like to make them text files also, so it discourages people from turning it into something more than what it is. All this is a basic, hey, this is how we're doing it. This is what this stands for. Here are some examples. This is how you label everything in here, right? If you want the full tutorial, what windows to go to, how to save things, that's all done in the employee manuals and standard operating procedures. And that concludes our little video about files.